welcome back to the channel. I'm here again with Dillon Lange, and today our topic is going to be on the MCU TV shows that should be coming out on Disney Plus over the next couple of years, starting with WandaVision in January and moving on through some that don't actually have any air dates just yet, but we're assuming in the next couple of years we'll see those. So, Dillon, what are you looking forward to about 2021 and the MCU?
Well, for 2021, the reason why I want to talk about the shows is because I find all of the shows a lot more exciting than what's going on with the movies. I think Doctor Strange looks kind of cool, or sounds kind of cool at least. There's nothing to see from it yet. But otherwise, these shows are actually going to be playing into like the grander MCU more than like the previous shows that had been done are going to, or will, or did.
Well, the problems with the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was they were crippled by the fact that Winter Soldier hadn't come out yet.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They couldn't make any reference to Hydra having taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. And then, 2/3 of the way through the season, suddenly they're like, oh, look, Hydra's taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. And
yeah.
They couldn't.
The last third of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is great because of that, where some of the characters get revealed to be traitors and just how it completely shifts the dynamic of the show. That last third is really interesting, but otherwise, like, most of that first season was not great, but then the series going forward was pretty good. I actually liked a lot of that series, and I find it a shame that I don't think any of those actors are necessarily returning anytime soon. But so what we have going forward, though, is literally less than a month away is WandaVision, which is definitely one that I'm looking forward to because I feel like Scarlet Witch and Vision are really cool characters in the comics that have been kind of sidelined for the most part in the movies, where they're more limited to like extremely small side roles as opposed to being any real main characters. The closest you get for Scarlet Witch, at least, is Infinity War, I'd say, and a little bit of Civil War, but I'm just excited to see them delve into how weird her powers are, because in the comics she's able to rewrite history and like change the world around her and like just create like a child for herself to have. And
doesn't she wipe out all mutants everywhere when she's like have a fever or she's sick and she just sort of like wishes them all out of existence?
Well, so whenever she says, I don't remember where the line "No More Mutants" comes from, but one of the things that she does is basically rewrite history to where mutants aren't mutants; they're the majority. They're the normal people, and so then humanity is kind of looked down upon and derided and abused, and that creates an interesting. There's like an interesting side story there where they have Spider-Man and he's not a mutant. He still just got bit by the spider, but he's like parading around acting like he is a mutant so that he doesn't like lose his gig as a TV show host. I don't know if they'll ever touch any of that, but Scarlet Witch is definitely one of the most like powerful characters, and that just hasn't been properly conveyed, to my opinion, in the MCU. But also the interesting thing about the show is that it's actually going to be tying into Doctor Strange and the grander MCU, because apparently she's going to tear a hole into like the multiverse. And it also just looks weird and different and fun. I don't know. That's something that I like to look for in shows. It looks like one of the more unique Marvel shows that's being done.
Yeah, I've seen all these stills from it in the black and white 50s looking.
Yeah.
So obviously they're going to have a dream, or they're going to go back in time, or something will happen to make them do 50s.
Yeah, there's going to be like a 50s like setting. There's going to be a 60s, a 70s, and all of this is going to be like kind of parodying or making winks and nods to various sitcoms that happened throughout those decades. And that seems kind of it seems like a weird thing to do. Like, why would you even consider to do that? And that's what makes it kind of exciting to me. Almost all of these shows are going to be like 6 episodes, but each episode is going to be like an hour long. So I find that kind of interesting because we're going to be getting just really long movies.
Yeah, because if you look at regular television, an hour-long episode's like 40 minutes.
Yeah. And then shortly after that is going to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which you said you were pretty interested in.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I like the dynamic between those two characters, especially like in Civil War, where they're, not buds or anything when they're running around the airport making snarky comments at each other, basically.
Yeah.
So I think, and then apparently they send those two actors out together on the press junkets because they play off each other pretty well, even in real life. So, so I hope for like a lot of chemistry on the screen and just hopefully interesting things with both of those characters. Although I hear that we won't see Anthony Mackie in the actual, Captain America suit until maybe the very, very end. So I guess it's more of him becoming Captain America, so much less than being Captain America.
Yeah. From the trailer that they have given, it definitely seems to be a lot more the two kind of debating with each other whether or not the world needs a Captain America, and if so, who should take the title, because neither of them necessarily wants to step into those massive shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And that just seems like a pretty interesting just problem for those two to try and figure out. But then you throw in the villain from Civil War, Baron Zemo, is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And probably he's going to be a villain, so he's going to be causing problems. So in the meantime, while they're having this like personal relationship kind of struggle, they're also going to have to be dealing with a master manipulator, which will be kind of it'll be really interesting to see, at least for me. I also love these characters, and one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to like all of these shows is because it's finally giving the characters that I've loved, but they never got a movie, their own like thing that's bigger than a movie.
Yeah.
So Falcon and the Winter Soldier getting a focus, I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah, I liked Anthony Mackie and everything I've seen him in. He seems really great. So he's probably the best thing about Adjustment Bureau. So I am looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah. And then
I do teach a class on what would Captain America do, and so next fall when that class comes around again, we'll have maybe some things to talk about from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and why would the characters not want to just be Captain America, right?
Yeah. Like I said, big shoes to fill.
Right.
Then in May of next year is Loki, which Tom Hiddleston definitely returning for. Owen Wilson will be in it as well, which I found I didn't even recognize Owen Wilson in the trailer.
Yeah, I think I should know that person. Until I read the name, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I saw him and I went, he looks familiar. I don't know why. And then I was watching it with my dad, and he went, "That's Owen Wilson." And I was like, "No way! What?" He didn't say wow, so I guess that's why I didn't know. The show is going to be about like an alternate. Well, so in Endgame, you have that Loki who takes the cube and then runs away, and then they never touch on that again. This show is going to be following that Loki.
So it's a pre-redemption arc, basically.
Yeah, they're doing the old like bring the character back to square one, no matter what it costs, which will be interesting. I wasn't really looking forward to the show at all until I saw the trailer. I've liked Loki, but I never loved him as much as a lot of other people have, and I thought that Infinity War gave him like a perfect end, and that he didn't really need to come back in any kind of way. So I was shocked whenever I saw the trailer and went, "Oh, that looks like a ton of fun," and I can't wait to see it. He seems to be getting into all sorts of different like time antics, just across different
Because it's like
time periods.
the time authority people or whatever he's
Yeah,
falling in with here. And now normally I hate time travel plots. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. That's one reason my end game is far from my favorite MCU. I just despise time travel. It just seems to open up so many plot holes, and then
yeah.
it's just like whatever. So I hope that they can somehow make it fun or make it not so annoying.
Yeah, I liked Endgame's time travel until they totally contradicted it in the end, like at the very end of the movie, because otherwise it made sense within its own thing where it was like, yeah, it just creates a new timeline, but then Captain America shows up at the end, and I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, because that really bothered me because it's like it looks like Steve Rogers, who up to now has been pretty selfless.
Yeah,
Even right to back at the beginning of the first movie where he's defending people and he's skinny and he's, but he still wants to stand up for the little guy. And, when Dr. Erskine says, do you want to kill Nazis? Like, I don't want to kill anybody. I just don't like bullies. He seems like he's been a really good person all along. And now he has the opportunity to go back in time to create a completely alternate timeline of the entire universe just for himself.
yeah,
And he could marry Peggy Carter. And then apparently once she dies, collapse that other universe and come back to this one. So we were mad at Thanos for killing off half the universe, but is no one going to bring up the fact that Steve really just killed off the entire universe? It just had
yeah.
why would he do that? It seems so selfish. I didn't.
It was, yeah. I wasn't a fan of that whole thing, but for the most part, the time travel made sense, and if your time travel doesn't make sense, just don't take it seriously. Like Rick and Morty has time travel and stuff, but it's a comedy. No one really pays attention to how it works. Back to the Future also definitely has some flaws in its time travel, but it's a comedy. It was more for fun. It's more to deliver a certain type of story than to be science fiction. And so I feel like if Loki goes for just more of this fun kind of angle as opposed to we need to approach this very seriously, it won't be too much of a problem. Apparently, one of the villains for the upcoming Ant-Man movie is going to be introduced in here, who's actually a pretty big deal. It's I can't remember his name.
I don't think I've read that yet.
He's a time travel villain.
Oh.
He's like the Lord of Time. Kang the Conqueror. And the guy from Lovecraft's country is going to be playing him. But yeah, he's like this Lord of Time or something, and he travels around in a giant spaceship that looks like a sword. I really hope they give him the giant sword spaceship, because I love it whenever the movies aren't afraid to just do the dumb stuff from the comics. Like whenever they gave Mysterio the fishbowl helmet, I was like, cool. I thought for sure they were gonna like try to change that and update it, try to make it look more like maybe just like a spacesuit helmet or something. But no, they went full fishbowl. Meanwhile, Black Widow with Taskmaster was too scared to just make him look like a skull. They had to make it look like a ski mask or something.
We should get that this year.
Yeah.
The movie theaters, maybe. Unless they do the sort of movie theater Disney drop at the same time.
Yeah, apparently Disney is looking into like changing contracts with actors and stuff so that it allows for them to more easily do that, because that was a big deal with what Warner Brothers did, was they didn't talk to the actors or filmmakers involved at all, and they didn't know about the fact that they would be coming to HBO Max and theaters at the same time until like half an hour before the announcement. And so that's why a lot of people are upset, because they weren't even let in on what was going on, and then on top of that, actors in their contracts, they have a lot of deals that like they get to make more money based off of how much box office is made. And if there's not a box office because it's HBO Max, how are they going to get their bonus essentially?
Right.
Which, in my opinion, actors are overpaid and they shouldn't be upset about not making an extra $1 million when they already made like $10 million. But whatever, they deserve to get paid. And I understand the upset about that. But yeah, so Disney is currently looking into changing how they do their contracts to allow for that. But yeah, shortly, we actually don't have a release date or window for What If. It's coming out in summer. It is an animated series that's bringing back, I think, all of the actors from the movies. From what I heard, Chadwick Boseman, his lines were already recorded for multiple episodes, so they don't have to really worry about that. Each episode is supposed to be like taking on a what if scenario from each movie. So for the first Avenger, like the first Captain America movie, it would be what if Peggy Carter was Captain America, and just various things. I think one was what if Black Panther was taken to space as opposed to Star-Lord, which is kind of interesting. The unfortunate thing is that it doesn't seem to be going as weird as some of the comics can go with these what if scenarios, but it's instead kind of more going like, what if these people's roles were reversed, which can be interesting. And it does look fun. One of the episodes seems to be what if zombies, which there's the whole Marvel Zombies comic universe that went on for a little while that is a nightmare. The zombies in that universe are like self-aware and sentient, but then as they become more hungry, they lose that like control of themselves until they feed again. But since they're all sentient, they all have to live with like what they've done. So like Spider-Man is like bawling his eyes out because he ate Aunt May and Mary Jane. And it's like, gee, that sounds fun.
Yeah, great.
Like, you have this idea that does sound kind of fun, like Marvel Zombies. The Marvel characters having to take on a zombie scenario sounds fun and interesting. And then you make it just a waking nightmare for everyone involved.
So we have two other series for 2021, Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye.
Ms. Marvel is definitely 2021. I'm not sure about Hawkeye. I hope it's 2021 because I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Well, I'm telling you what Wikipedia says. It could be wrong.
It could be wrong.
2021.
Yeah.
They could slide that in 2022 pretty easily.
Yeah. It just depends on how long it takes for the development of that. I know that Miss Marvel is definitely coming first, unless it could end up getting, who knows with COVID and stuff, how the production of these shows go, because it used to be WandaVision was going to come out after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because Falcon and the Winter Soldier started filming first, and now it's the total opposite. So who knows how this will end up working out, but I think Miss Marvel is first, which I don't really know much about Miss Marvel. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of into the comics and stuff, but I don't really know anything about Kamala Khan. I hope it's good for the sake of just having a good show and a good representation for, I think, Pakistani.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, I would like for that to be really good. She's essentially a fangirl of all of the Avengers, is how she's usually been depicted, especially Captain Marvel, which is what her suit is kind of based off of. And then in this series, apparently she writes like fan fiction of the Avengers.
Okay.
So, and she's definitely like a younger character. She's supposed to be like even younger than Peter Parker is currently in this universe. She's supposed to be like 12 or something, 12 or 13. So
we'll cast somebody who's 25.
No, actually, they actually got a pretty young girl from what I've seen, and she's supposed to also pop up in Captain Marvel 2, which will be interesting. I wonder if Captain Marvel will pop up in the show at all, or if Brie Larson might be a little too busy. But yeah, since the whole thing is that in the comics she was kind of given the role of Miss Marvel by Captain Marvel, because that used to be what Captain Marvel's name was until someone involved went, hey, wait, no, that's kind of a sexist thing to call her whenever she's literally just Captain Marvel but a woman, because Captain Marvel used to be a man. So now that that's all changed up, I'm curious if Miss Marvel is just what she's just going to call herself. It's not necessarily like a title handed to her. But it's one of those things where it's like, I hope it's good, but I don't really know much about it, and I'm not necessarily looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the comics lately. I mean, when I was in college, we'd all like cram into my car every Saturday and drive to the comic book stores. And that worked. But see, I was in college in the mid 80s, so that was a while ago. But the reason it worked was that everybody bought different titles, and then we'd all go back to the dorm and we'd all read the ones we bought, and read all the ones our friends bought. So, you know, when there were crossovers and things, you would have read every title eventually, because, you know, between the 6 or 7 of us, we were buying most of the titles. But once I left college and we weren't doing it anymore, there's just no way that I could afford to buy every comic, you know. So at that, it just sort of tailed off. So, you know, since 1988, I really haven't been able to keep up that much with what's going on the comic side of things. But I did buy a lot of the Moon Knight that was out in the mid 80s. So I do have a bunch of those. And that will be coming out in 2022. So that one I am kind of looking forward to.
I'm super looking forward to Moon Knight because while I haven't read much of Moon Knight, what I have read is really weird and just so the more recent comics, he's definitely a lot more violent than he'll probably be in the show, like a lot more bloody. But I don't think that aspect necessarily has to be in Moon Knight, but since it's a Disney Plus show, they're not going to do the rated R stuff. He was a character that a lot of people were wanting back whenever Netflix was still making Marvel shows, because their shows were dark and violent and kind of brutal. So he would have fit in perfectly. But he's this guy who goes to Egypt and gets possessed by an Egyptian god, all while also having split personality disorder. And it's bizarre and weird. And Oscar Isaac has been cast as Moon Knight, which should be pretty good. Oscar Isaac's one of my favorite actors. He's one of the reasons why I was so excited for Dune, which unfortunately got delayed. But in general, some of the things that Kevin Feige has been saying about Moon Knight is kind of interesting, because he said that it was going to have an Indiana Jonesy kind of vibe, which is definitely not what I was expecting. But given that he gets his powers from a trip to Egypt, I can kind of see how like his origin story could be a little Indiana Jonesy. But he did also confirm that definitely his like mental illness will play a pretty major role into the character, because of course it would. I would be really upset if they just dropped that aspect of the character.
So one of the things they've done is they've got a bunch of like their second or third tier characters, basically, that a lot of people aren't going to know about, and now they've shown up either in the Avengers movies a bit, or they're going to have their own TV shows. They haven't gotten my favorite character, and my favorite Marvel character really is a gargoyle. And, so I would like to see him getting his own TV show sometime.
Who knows? It could pop up anywhere. Maybe not even get his own show, but could pop up in something. Because I mean, in She-Hulk, they're bringing back Abomination, which I wasn't expecting. Tim Roth is returning and everything, so that should be interesting. Kevin Feige has pitched She-Hulk as a courtroom comedy series, which should be weird and fun. Also teased that possibly Daredevil could pop up in it, which would be
I thought
cool.
he was to possibly pop up in like the third Spider-Man movie as Peter Parker's lawyer.
Yeah, he might be popping up everywhere.
But who's not popping up in Spider-Man 3? That is the question right now, because you've got Spider-Man, 3 Mary Janes, 6 villains, Doctor Strange, and who knows who else.
Yeah. Well, they've got more than 6 villains, because it's because if we just go the full route where, let's just say that maybe not Hawkeye, Vulture and Mysterio, for whatever reasons, make cameos in the movie, then there's going to be like 8 or 9, because apparently Willem Dafoe's returning as Green Goblin, and it's like...
Well, then they just cast Christian Bale, right, too, so...
Oh, Christian Bale is in Thor.
Yeah, or Thor, yeah, I love him. Yeah. But anyway,
cool.
Lots of bad guys in this third Spider-Man.
Almost too many.
Yeah. All right, so any final comments you want to make on things you're looking forward to in the MCU on Disney Plus? Which I don't, but I guess I'm going to have to get it by January.
Yeah. No, I'm excited that, because I mean we didn't get to it, but like Armor Wars is gonna have War Machine in it. Again, I'm just excited about these shows finally happening for the characters that like I've been so interested in, but they never managed to get a movie. So like War Machine, I almost just called him Samuel L. Jackson. Nick Fury, his character is getting a show with Secret Invasion. Abomination is returning. Hawkeye, all of that. It's all of these characters that are so cool and interesting to me and have cool stories in the comics are finally getting somewhere to shine, even if it's not in a movie. So that makes me happy.
Okay, well, if you have any comments on what you're looking forward to in the MCU shows, make sure you put it down in the comments. In the meantime, if you like this episode, hit like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when I put up more videos, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.